Well, hello, Riven mains and Yasuo mains alike. I'm the Nightwing, Way of Life Esports, coming at you guys with a LOL podcast, Season 1, Episode 5. Yes, it has been quite some time since I've been able to kind of, sit down and give you guys my fun, uncensored, undocumented, unbiased opinions toward a certain thing that happens in League of Legends. So yes, we are at 5 episodes of the LOL podcast. Obviously, I'm going to have to fix the description because it says episodes get released every single week. I don't want people reading that and going, oh my goodness, where is this episode at every single week? So definitely something that I'm probably going to have to, overall, have some time to, fix up. It's something that obviously has to be fixed on in terms of that it was going up every week, but obviously since I'm doing it by myself now, that's gonna obviously take up a good amount of time, which obviously is not that bad in terms of everything else, but you also have to factor in that it's something that will be something we're gonna have to just work on in terms of when I can actually get the entire thing up properly on a scheduled day. I don't think it's going to be going up on any scheduled day anytime soon. It's something that obviously we're going to have to go over, and I'm going to have to, look at my work week, look at my schedule every week and see what day can I obviously put this up, because I want to have an LOL podcast because I initially like watching The Dive. I like watching Euphoria. There's Face Check. All of those I listen to. And, having a different set of opinions is obviously really good in order to figure out how I could have better viewed something. But I was viewing it differently this way. But since there's obviously analysts and pro players on those type of things, those are things that I want to learn from and overall get better at. Now, those are also things that a lot of people are going to go like, well, aren't you necessarily pretty good at that since you've been playing since like Season 4? Not really. I've obviously been watching and playing League for very, very long, but there's still certain things I can learn. There's obviously still certain things that I can do better. There's always something you can improve on. So don't ever be stagnant. There's always something you can be, improved on. There's always something that you could obviously do a lot better. Now, for this specific LOL podcast, we are going to be going over the 2019 World Championship group stage for League of Legends. Now, this past week, we just got over with the League of Legends World Championship 2019 group stage. Now, there were a lot of things said about North America, EU, China, Korea. There's been just an overall abundance of things that have obviously happened with this group stage that I'm going to break down as best I can. And if you have any similar feelings towards, what I've been thinking or what I have to say, then put them down below in the comment section below, because I would love to hear about your opinions as well as my own. And it's always better to gauge your opinions as well, because I might have missed something. I might have obviously said something wrong. It's obviously I'm a human. So yeah, it's pretty much confirmed I'm not perfect. So let's see overall what I can go with. So let me turn off my phone. Let me turn off my notifications. Obviously, I don't want any distractions on this. So let's see what I can obviously do with you guys right now. So how about we start with the most controversial group, which is Splyce's group. And this is something I want to talk about, and it's not to be disrespectful to any person that watches EU. It's not disrespectful to anybody that was in Group B specifically. But Group B was a easy group. You cannot, I repeat, you cannot debate that. It's just an easy group. Actually, I can give you references of easy groups we have had back in League of Legends World Championships. But let me start with what I consider an easy group, because what you consider an easy group and what I consider an easy group might be a lot different, and obviously we can have that discussion. All right, what I think is an easy group is you have obviously 4 teams in there. If 2 of those teams can beat those other 2 teams to get out of the group, consistently and they're just that much more stronger than them, that is an easy group. Now, let's take my logic and then let's pair towards last year's Fnatic and IG group with 100 Thieves and G-Rex. IG and Fnatic were head and shoulders way above those other two teams. And you only need 4 wins to get out of groups. We all know that, right? All right, you follow me here? That means that since Fnatic and IG are so much better than G-Rex and 100 Thieves of last year, that means that they undoubtedly are going to get out of the group without any problems and get 2 free wins off of those teams. And since you play twice, that's 4 wins distributed between both those two teams. That means there's no competition. It's literally you facing somebody else. You see the gap between that? That is an easy group. That's why I always say that. I was talking to my friends earlier on. The group stage is a problem in terms of distributing the even portions of how strong a team can be. There's no way you can tell me last year that 100 Thieves and G-Rex were as strong as Fnatic and Invictus Gaming. There's no possible way. IG and Fnatic were head and shoulders way above the competition of that group. And they literally only were fighting each other. That's it. The other two teams just didn't matter. You can see it in the gameplay, and you can obviously see it in how the matches turned out in general. Now, and I compare it toward another year. Let's look at H2K, EDG, INTZ, and AHQ of the 2016 World Championship. I think this was Group C, if I'm not too mistaken. Now, EDG were coming in hot towards the event. They had taken down RNG in the finals. This was back when RNG had Looper and Mata, and EDG, for that specific split, I think went undefeated in the regular split. They went like 18-0 in terms of best of threes. They stormed the playoffs. Obviously, they had a few hiccups here and there, but they stormed the playoffs. Obviously, H2K had got to Worlds based off of championship points from the spring. They obviously won the 3rd place match against Unicorns of Love. This is back when Unicorns of Love had Veritas, Exile. Yeah, this has been that's a long time ago, right? The jungler was Move. You guys remember that guy? Yeah. So, and you look at INTZ, they had Talkers, and they had Revolta. Remember when they obviously upset EDG in that first game of the 2016 World Championship? Then you also have AHQ. Obviously, this is when AHQ, I'm pretty sure, were around the time one of the best teams in the LMS. They had just started losing their footing to Flash Wolves, and that's when Flash Wolves had started to be, a lot better than AHQ, because that previous MSI for 2016, we had seen Flash Wolves over AHQ, because AHQ was also at the very first midseason invitational back in 2015. They were the most dominant team in the LMS, but after that, in 2016, they had just started to lose their old guard over AHQ. Now, the reason why I'm saying that's an easy group is because the overall teams of EDG and H2K are only going to compete for each other. And that's why people said EDG's run not even EDG's run, H2K's run wasn't that good, because they not only faced a wildcard team who was bad. Who did H2K face in their group that really challenged them? INTZ, AHQ. Yes, AHQ did beat them once, but that was an AHQ. That AHQ played so much better than H2K on the day that the second time they faced, H2K just demolished them. That means that even shows you that there is a difference in how strong these teams are. There's obviously other easy groups. In Worlds 2017, you had Team World Elite, TSM, and Misfits and Flash Wolves. Mind you not, this is the year in which TSM were predicted to get out of groups in the easiest group in the tournament. And they could have got out. Do you know why TSM didn't get out? TSM lost to Flash Wolves, who were, oh my god, they were 0-5. Flash Wolves were 0-5. If TSM beats them, they get out of groups, because the following game afterwards, Misfits lost to World Elite. That means TSM would have gotten out of the group. TSM has gotten out of groups before. That's a big common misconception that I'll be able to debunk in a few videos from now. Is the biggest misconception amongst TSM is that they've never gotten out of groups. That's a lie. TSM have gotten out of groups. They've gotten out of groups in 2014. They have gotten out of groups before. It's already been done. They don't need to get out of groups because they've already gotten out of groups. But I can understand why white people are confused by that because they weren't watching back then. So it's a common misconception amongst the community, which isn't actually fair because you're actually just spreading misinformation. So, like I said before, that group in terms of strength and skill was head and shoulders much weaker than the other groups that had the likes of Longzhu, Fnatic, Cloud9, SKT, EDG, and Cloud9 were in the exact same group. That should tell you how much weaker that group was. That's just incredible that was even allowed to be a group in terms of how you paired up those teams. Now, there are easy groups, and this is why I'm bringing it all back to, is that you can't really justify what's easy for a team based off of how a team looks. Yes, other teams can play and upset teams, but that doesn't mean they're stronger. Are you telling me that J-Team is a lot stronger than Splyce? Yes, I had that in terms of pick'ems because I was able to, watch on like Twitch streams that analysts got a chance to watch J-Team and GAM finals. Obviously, we got a chance to see that what those finals were to look like. And yes, obviously, from looking at how the gameplay went, I was like, yeah, GAM and J-Team could easily beat Splyce. But then I realized, wait a minute. LMS beating EU? That's why I had obviously placed J-Team at the bottom, because J-Team were obviously pretty bad. Now, you also have to factor in GAM. Looking at how Levi and Zeros perform internationally, as I saw in the past, as how I've seen that Zeros has consistently been a decent carry threat, I thought they would have had a really good shot at making out of the group. Otherwise, it didn't happen. But you can see how badly the teams were in Group B because you have to factor in that FPX were choking. FPX lost to J-Team. XPX looked horrible. LWX literally was inting. Gimgoon, was he really relevant? Doinb, what the hell was he doing? The bot lane, I ask again, were they they weren't even challenged in their groups. And then you look at the other groups, is how you can visibly tell there are easy groups. Now, out of all the teams that come into these international events, there's going to be much groups easier. I'm not saying that's Splyce's fault because it's obviously randomly drawn. But you can't tell me they had a hard group because it's not the case here. But they did make it out 3-0. They did overcome FPX, they did overcome J-Team, and they did overcome GAM. But you can't factor in what other things come before that, because you must count that week 1 performance, which was really bad. That week 1 performance from Splyce was atrocious. It honestly was atrocious, but they did manage to pull it out for the next week, which was obviously very good for them. So they do advance from the group, and obviously it's pretty good confidence booster building to do that for them, because really kind of no one believes in them. And I don't see why EU is so against them / for them. It's really weird because they didn't want them at Worlds anyway. The EU counted them out against Unicorns of Love, but then want to defend them when they're getting attacked by people. Seems kind of hypocritical in my own personal opinion, but hey, I'm saying they had an easy group. I'm not saying they didn't play well. I'm saying you had an easy group. There's two different things to that, because if Clutch Gaming was in Splyce's group, I had this feeling that Splyce would have lost to them. And that's evident that Fnatic almost lost to Clutch. And are you going to tell me that Splyce is better than Fnatic? You're not going to tell me that. So let's not start that. So my thoughts on Group B was that FPX, for their first Worlds, were subliminally hard choking. It's like, yes, they turned it on for week 2, but their other competition that was challenging them, well, just failed besides Splyce. So looking at it now, FPX are going to go up against Fnatic, who I've already predicted in my quarterfinal previews that I feel like Fnatic is going to obviously win the matchup. There's a lot of favor that have in Fnatic's favor in terms of matchups, in terms of how they've been impacting the map. I think that for FPX, it's just been the Doinb and the TN show, even during their dominant run. So we're going to obviously look at how that's going to obviously impact their quarterfinal matchup against Fnatic. And yeah, it's how I felt about Group B. The next group I had a decent, fun time watching was, let's go to TL's group. Yeah, let's go to TL's group. So TL's group was with TL, Damwon, IG, and HQ, right? So HQ, pretty irrelevant. I mean, their bot lane was atrocious. I don't even understand how that was allowed to be a bot lane. Like, that bot lane was so bad. Like, that bot lane was horrible. But Rainbow and a few of the other guys, Ziv, he's been a long time mainstay of HQ. Obviously, he's been an LMS champion before. He's been to Worlds several times. He held his own consistently, but he's not like a Smeb level player or a Shy level player to the point where he's going to be that much of an X factor. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to be that big of a Bjergsen threat for the team, especially not in top lane. Then you look at TL. Now, TL did get a win against Damwon exactly the way I told him to. Exactly how I predicted it is exactly how it happened. You attack the bot lane, you give the solo laners stable picks that can scale, you win. It obviously worked out. Second time they played around, it was more or less so Damwon figured out how to beat TL, because TL's problem is that they don't play fast. So if you can outpace TL in the early game, you get a chance to win, obviously. Then after that, IG were slowly coming back to form. Lian is his name, right? And Ning still look fairly sloppy, but it was Ning's first games back on the stage in a while, so take that for kind of what it is. I guess I think that I'll be able to give a clear judgment on them when I'm able to see them in a best of 5, which is coming up against Griffin, which is the first best of 5, so keep that in mind. I feel like a lot of people were discounting IG. I wasn't. You guys heard me. I was like, IG's getting first in the group. And they almost did get first in the group. Because everybody kept saying, oh, IG summer, IG summer, IG had a bad summer, IG bad summer, IG bad summer. Like, can you tell me something they actually did wrong? They just were slumping. I mean, it happens. Like, it literally happens. SKT slump, and they slump pretty hard, but obviously they were able to bounce back. So, what I can say about IG was, people were going to ask me, why did you believe in them? It's not that I didn't believe in them. It's just like, are you going to tell me that JackeyLove, Rookie, and the Shy are going to be losing to players that are subliminally kind of on their levels / maybe worse than them? Then they had a month overall to prep for the group. Then they've obviously were able to kind of find their footing in the regional qualifier when they faced off against JDG and Top. So I was looking at it on the more aspect of Rookie had really not been playing. He'd been slumping, and I feel like during the best of 5s against those teams, he was able to come back in a certain way and carry certain games as well. And then after that, they have a month of prep, and then they're playing solo queue. And then it's, okay, so you see kind of where my point is. So Damwon played pretty well, all things considered, for week 2. They had a really close game against IG, which they should have lost, but they managed to bring it back and are able to get first in the group. Now, people are going to obviously want me to talk about TL. Looking at TL, it's more or less so Jensen ran it down probably every single game. Jensen literally ran it down every single game. There wasn't a game where he was a carry threat. There wasn't a game where he, accurately was just anything. He was just useless. Like, he was like, that's sad to say, right? He was literally useless. He literally did what Pole Belter did last year, probably even worse. That's sad, man. You have Doublelift and Core JJ played good. I'll give them that. They played really well. Every single game they played pretty well, honestly, except for that very last game. It was pretty one-sided, but they really tried there. I feel sorry for Doublelift, man. Him and Core JJ really tried. They were really going in. Xmithy, he was good at certain points. It wasn't really his fault. Impact was good certain games, bad other games. He was very, very hot and cold. The only consistent thing about TL was their bot lane, but since they're playing up against much better bot lanes, it's not going to be an overwhelming advantage that we initially thought. So, yeah, it feels bad for TL, and our first seed doesn't make out of groups again. Well, that's kind of a thing we've already seen before. So, alright, so I'll save G2's and Cloud9's group for the last. The next group was what? SKT, Clutch, Fnatic, and RNG. So this group was pretty interesting, all things considered. I got it right. I picked SKT and Fnatic, first and second seed to get out. Woo! I got it right. Hey, believed in Fnatic. Yeah. SKT looked pretty dominant, aside from that Fnatic loss. People said they win traded. No, they just lost. Don't do that. Don't be that salty loser beta cuck. No. They lost fair and square. It's not because of 10,000 X different reasons why they lost. Not because of drafts. Not because of they played bad. They really played bad. But it's not because of that. SKT just lost. That's it. It's not whatever reason you believe because you're just a cuck fanboy. They lost. That's it. But SKT did clap Fnatic the first game, so take that for what it is. Fnatic managed to get out by having an impressive run, knocking out RNG. Technically, Rekkles didn't overcome Uzi because the record is still in favor of Uzi, but this time it obviously mattered different because of them getting out of groups. So it's really sad to see RNG go this early. Uzi playing out of his mind. Ling X played incredible. Ming played great. It was only just Karsa and Xiaohu who were kind of the weak links, but even they played good at various points in the game. So yeah, it just feels really bad that RNG had to leave. Clutch looked competitive in some of their games and then looked pretty average in a few of them. So it wasn't really Clutch's fault. They were just clearly outmatched, and that's just something that it's nothing that they can do. It's more or less so along the lines of they're just outmatched in every position. It's just the players that they're playing against are just that much better. I understand you can have cheese picks, secret picks, you can throw some chaos into there, but it's not going to really work consistently against much better teams than them. They tried. They actually looked better than TL and Cloud9, which is pretty darn interesting to say, you know? So yeah, the Group of Death was obviously really interesting to watch. SKT RNG's matches were absolutely 100% incredible. Those games are great to watch for best of ones if you like this format. But obviously the biggest talk is Fnatic going 3-0. They have this thing with Fnatic where they look kind of bad like week ones of Worlds and then just completely turn it around the next week. 0-4 getting out of the group. They have this week where they go 3 and like just 3-0. It's just been absolutely incredible from them. And last year, obviously, World Finals. They have this weird Worlds buffs that they get. It's really kind of interesting. Last group is Cloud9's group, and obviously Reaper is showing Blabber the way to the airport because that is the only thing that's carrying North America is the airplane. Now, looking at, I've already talked about Cloud9 and their issues and what they should fix. You guys know what I said they should fix. It's not necessarily coaching in terms of what Reaper's doing. It's that he needs different players to pull off what his drafts are like, because I don't think his drafts overall are the issue per se. I think that when you look at how the drafts are prepared, these players have to be able to perform this stuff. Like the drafts make sense. They really do if you really break them down to a certain extent. The players themselves just aren't good enough to pull it off. That's just really what it's like. I think that if you want to bench Sneaky, that's good. And don't give me that I like. If one person says they want to keep Sneaky because I like him, I don't even care what your comment is after that. You're just not thinking clearly. He's not playing good, though it's not all his fault, actually. Because that's why I kind of feel like people are getting a little bit too over aggressive. It's not all his fault, but he is slumping, and you cannot deny that. Cloud9 obviously looked really horrible. They have some close games against Hong Kong Attitude. They played definitely in one of them. He looked pretty good, actually, so maybe they should try him out moving toward the LCS 2020. G2, in terms of them, Mickey and Jankos were pretty much running it down for, well, all the games, actually. Licorice looked pretty good. Aside from that, Wonder, Jankos, and Mickey were just jetting it down there. They were just like, fuck, I'm done. We're it's like they already kind of written off that they were gonna get first in the group. They're like, nah, I don't care. I'll just like run it down for what? How many games they played? They played 6, right? Like four out of the other games. 4 out of 6 games, they literally all ran it down. I was like, what the hell is going on? Wonder to a lesser extent, but you kind of understand what I mean. Griffin came back to form in week 2, though had a sloppy week 1. And yeah, Group A was pretty much what everybody anticipated. I think the overall expectation for Cloud9 to get out was just not there this year. You know, I did predict them to get out, but Griffin and G2 are just that much better, man. Like, it's just the same thing that happened with Clutch happened with Cloud9, is that the teams you're facing are just that much better. And the Cloud9 boys were already slumping. It was like already like, wow, if they did beat them, it is an upset, but it's nothing that I wasn't really surprised by. But I would have to say that the first Hong Kong Attitude game that we saw really kind of showed that they weren't going to really be able to get out of the group. So, yeah, that's my World 2019 you know, kind of group stage review, thoughts and opinions. I thought I put into an LOL podcast because I know you guys like this. You guys can hear this when you're at work, or you know, hear this when you're driving home, or when you're at the gym, or if you just need a long video to listen to, if you're just kind of, you know, just doing whatever you want to do. So yeah, I thought the group stage was pretty much how you expect it to be, except for like the TL. Most people did have TL coming out of the group, but you know, if you're gonna play that bad at that amount of clutch time, you don't really deserve to make it out. And North America's first seed doesn't make it out of groups, and North America is sitting out this World Championship for Europe as they did in 2015. Now, at least in 2015, they went 0-10. Now, at least at this Worlds, they won a few games. So, you know, it's progress where progress is due. And looking at the group stage and how to make NA better, I'm gonna have to do that in a separate video, because to make NA better, I'm gonna actually probably do it in a separate podcast, because that's gonna be a long discussion about how to make North America better. So see you guys later. Like, comment, subscribe. Most of all, enjoy. I'm the Nightwing, and Way of Life Esports is signing out. Peace. You guys have an amazing.
Hi there, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more stuff.
Yeah. Thank you.